Yo, what's going on, world? It's your boy Najee from RapRadar.com. Man, today, this is a special episode, man. This is something totally different and not the norm. I just wanted to bring some people together, man. Obviously, this has been like one of the craziest last few weeks, craziest month, I've seen in a while, and it's impacted all of us. You know what I mean? So with that said, man, I just want to introduce my guests. First to the left, or my left box screen, I got my brother Wayno, man. What's Wayno? What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? I can't complain, brother. I'm just, making the best of this time, trying to stay sharp, stay safe, think forward and all this turmoil and really come out of this on a bright side. I think optimistic, but I'm doing good for the most part.
For sure. I also got another esteemed member of the community, my brother Jinx. What's going on, Jinx?
What's up, man? I'm, a lot of echoing what Wayno said. I'm here, man. Like, people say that often, but that's a big reason to be thankful right now. I'm still here. I'm still in the game, trying to think about what's going forward. But I don't know. I'm taking stock of the moment right now.
Yeah. And then last but not least, certainly not least, it's my brother. We go back and forth arguing all the time. You know what I'm saying? Put me on, my man Bdot. What's up, Bdot?
What's going on, man? Just recording the album. I'm ready to come back outside, man. Like, ready to hit the ground running once again.
Yeah, yo, man, so like I said, I just want this to be a conversation, man. Anybody could jump in, but I think, obviously over the last few weeks, we just seen major shifts, right? Like shifts everywhere, shifts just in life, in our business. And I kind of wanted to just, start like how, just where we are today, right? Like what have you seen as being the shift that's happened just in your life that you see?
Damn, that's deep. Man, I was having a conversation with some friends recently, and I was talking about like how we define success, right? And for a lot of us, it's like finance, it's like stature in our community, in our industries. And then I had this thought, I was like, I don't think there's going to be a way that when we look back in like 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think what we consider success will change. I don't think you can be successful, not take on this new chapter, not take on this new fight. Like, I think if you're doing everything you were doing before, good. But if you're not adding this new thing in, or if you've been sidestepping it or didn't make time for it, or were busy chasing the other things instead of including this, I think it's over for that. And I think our community is shifting about what they respect, not what they respect, what they expect out of their leaders, what they expect out of their peers. And for the people that's coming after us, I think a lot of people are changing what they want to teach people. So when I look at myself, I don't know if I've had like a huge change. I can say that today I'm feeling more optimistic than I did last week. But what I can say though is like I felt like I was ready for a lot of this stuff. I felt like we're looking at all these outsiders, brands, individuals trying to rewrite their course. And for a lot of us, we've been here. We've been having these conversations in public, in private, talking amongst ourselves. A lot of things that we were talking about in the DMs are now out on public. And so I think we're uniquely prepared for this moment, but I think we should be mindful of like what's going on outside of us and how we absorb that. So it's a long-winded answer, but it's a complex world,
No pun intended.
Right.
I knew he was gonna just before we go forward. I'm so happy that me and Bdot are in the same room at the same time, so people can see that we are not the same person.
Yo, brothers, man. They say y'all brothers are cousins at least.
Yeah, that's so funny. I never thought that. That's so funny.
All those people look alike, man. That's the.
Oh, y'all.
Right,
I'm
man.
sure. So I think like like you said, it just with that shift. The last 2 weeks, these protests, man, have been global, right? Like it's not just America; it's every state. It's countries, Europe. We're seeing everything kind of happening, and a large part of this is just people kind of speaking out. You know what I mean? And we see a lot of backlash from the community feeling like we're looking at rappers and celebrities to speak out. Like, do you guys feel that that's something that is an obligation?
Definitely not.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, Najee, you and I talk about this a lot, but I feel like if you're waiting for a celebrity to speak on your behalf, something is wrong with you. Like, I'm not waiting for, you know, whether it's a rapper, entertainer. I'm not sitting courtside on social media waiting for someone to speak out. I feel like, if anything, the power, like Dave Chappelle kind of said in his special, the power really is within the people. And it's been democratized because of the internet. I feel like if you have Wi-Fi, you have a voice. So I don't think an artist or anyone is obligated to speak out. To me, obligations are responsibilities that are non-negotiable, like taking care of your family, paying your taxes, paying your bills. Those are like core obligations. If you choose to speak out, I welcome it. I welcome your opinion, but I'm not waiting for you to voice your concerns so it'll make me feel better at night.
Yeah, man. I think Malcolm X said it one time that, you know, our people are the only ones that kind of look for like entertainers to lead them. You know, for me, I don't hold anybody that they have to say something. Now, what people also misconstrue is that a person speaking on a public platform, that's only one form of speaking. Like, even with Kanye, you know, I've been critical about him for a lot of different things, but like, I felt like what he did, you know, setting up those funds and all that for those young ladies' future, that was him speaking volumes. You know what I mean? Like that was him speaking volumes. And I'm able to separate the two. Like I love artists for their art, but a lot of artists, they just regular people. And a lot of them aren't really qualified to speak about certain types of issues. Even like when I think about like people like Lil Wayne, who has been vocal, and people will always like question what he says. You gotta remember, Lil Wayne been rich since he was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not excusing, you know, some of the things he say at all, because he say some outlandish shit sometimes, but his perspective, while he is a black man, like, and we all know this, his perspective is different than a lot of ours. And I don't look at him saying something that I might not agree with as, oh, you just fucked it up for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look at it as that. You know, there's tons of people who can speak that aren't in entertainment. That's what we're gonna talk about. The problem is like this mindset, and it comes from the hood a lot, where if you're not in the streets or you're not showing that you get money, that you don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's tons of people who aren't into music entertainment that are very successful, that are putting together classes that we can learn from, or different things that can all help us, but because it's not attached to a few diamonds and it's not sparkly, people don't think it exists. You know, so I think like we just got a little bit more digging to do when it comes to, you know, the information. And I think that's the only thing that's going to save us is sharing it.
I get down with that. I mean, like Brian said, me and Dot argue about this a lot. And I guess my POV is along the lines of, because I think when I'm looking at this movement kind of happening, I hear a lot of different voices, right? Like some people are like, yo, we need to do this. And other people are like, we need to do this. And I just feel like the ones with the biggest voices are the ones that allow us to collectively get on a same page. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that in this society, it feels like, right, entertainers are the ones that have the biggest voices. So, but my thing is like, and, you know, me and Dot, we argue about like Kendrick, you know, the whole thing where people were kind of saying online, like, yo, what's up with Kendrick? Why isn't he speaking out? Do you feel like somebody, you know, like Kendrick, who has overtly spoken out against like police brutality, he's sort of become like this poster boy for it, you know, from like his Grammy performance, you know, where he wore the jumpsuit and the shackles and things like that. And then, you know, everything's kind of happening in real time and people don't hear anything. It feels like, yo, what's up, bro? Where you at, man?
For me, I look at it like, it's sort of like we said, like what celebrity is and why we look at entertainers to be these people. Like there's historical like reasons for that, right? Like there's a reason that like they were the people that were often like heralded and allowed to even sit in certain places. So we chased them. And I don't know if that's correct. I think we need to re-alter what celebrity looks like and what we idolize. And I think we need to allow people to do what they do best. I was talking about an unnamed rapper with a friend, and he was talking about like, you know, no one's looking for this person to speak up. And I was like, yeah, like there's value. Like there's so many ways to fight this. For someone who like says stupid shit, it's important they don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's important like they don't say nothing to derail people. When it's rappers, like for all of us, we've all interviewed rappers. Mm-hmm. Some of the most poetic, most lyrical, most thoughtful artists, we sit across from them in a 1-2 situation. They can't put their thoughts together. You know what I mean? They don't work best in that scenaririo. And we always, it's like when you have that artist that you love their lyrics, but you're so disappointed when you're just having a conversation because you're a stranger and they're struggling and they feel like they're on the spot. You know, I think if it's an artist, we need to let them do what they do best. I think Drake is a great example of someone who his music has nothing to do with any of these type of subject matter. No one's asking for a song for him, and no one's really asking him to speak out. Instead, he just opened up the wallet. You know what I mean? And like was able to actualize the real power that he has, and maybe inspire some other people to do that. Maybe, you know, put the pressure on other artists. I think when we look at these movements, there's so many ways to approach them. Like there's kids that got to be outside protesting. There's people that got to be signing policy. There's people that got to be promoting links and sharing information. And I think also a big avenue for us is to lift up the voices that are already doing it. You know, like a lot of the people, when I get on in the morning trying to figure out who I should chase, I'm not thinking, where's Kendrick? You know, I'm not thinking, where's Drake? I'm looking at, and to be honest, it's a lot of Black women and a lot of journalists in the political space who are the first people I'm checking right now. And maybe I wasn't checking for them 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like when the Jordan doc dropped, I was checking for all the sports and sneaker guys to be the loudest voices. So, and we got out the way for them. You know what I mean? So I think we need to do the same thing for people that are already skilled, have momentum, have resources, have a resume in this space, and lift them up so that our most famous people in our community can spot them and promote them as well. So I'm in agreement with Wayno and Bdot about, like, you know, yeah, with great responsibility comes great power, but like there's some people we don't want to hear from. Like, you might fuck this up. You know?
Also, I think that, you know, there's a lot of grandstanding going on a lot of times. And people, a lot of these celebrities, entertainers, they just want to go, you know, to the rally, or they want to go to the protest just for the look. And I don't need that. I don't care. Like, I feel like 1 million people on Twitter is better than one Jay-Z. And no disrespect to Jay. It's just like, we are mobilized. We are powerful people. I think we need to start holding ourselves to that standard as well. So,
yeah, I agree there. Right.
So the only thing with that, like, just 1 million people, it's probably equal to one Jay-Z, maybe. Like in my head, just
here's the difference, though. The difference is what those two were saying just now is like, we'll be waiting. You know, and waiting. Time is crucial. Like even when we wanted people to speak up at first, my first inclination to desire people to even speak up was that we saw George Floyd get murdered, and then we needed that information to go outward. As the days passed, like by the time they had arrested the first officer, I was like, yo, guys, not that it's not worth speaking up, but I watched people decide. It was like seeing where the score was going, and they were like, oh, it's on this team. All right, let's put our coins towards there. Right. I'm not saying it wasn't genuine, right? But now we need you all to do different things. Like, you know, it's like it not a game, but it's like things change as the quarters change. You need different needs, and you bring in different players in different positions. And, you know, sometimes being on the right side of history comes down to minutes, you know? And I think like in the very beginning stages, we needed people to be on the right side of history for that. When protesters were getting locked up, we needed people to start, you know, bail funds and be on the right side of history for that. And now we're looking at or what's next? And so we could have the big dudes speak up, you know, but I think it's more important that, you know, for anyone that has connections to them, to point them in the direction of people that know what they're talking about, so that when they do stand on the podium, they have all the right talking points and all the right resources. Because the worst thing that can happen is that the person that we've been waiting for stumbles and the whole world's watching.
Right. I feel like, if this was a team thing, then everybody has to play their part. You know, I think that, you know, the courageous thing about each and every one of us is that, you know, all of us are affected by this, because every time we see a young Black man or woman killed on national television, we think about each other, we think about ourselves, we think about our loved ones, and, you know, we use our platforms to speak. You know what I mean? I haven't seen anybody be shy about that. We all using our platforms to speak. But I think the larger conversation is that more people have to learn discipline in order to stay in their space and elevate so that they can help however they can. You know, you see so many different people like, why he ain't do this? Why he ain't do that? Okay, like, while the protesters out there doing what they doing, you needed, I ain't gonna front, yo. A lot of people was against the looting and all that, but you needed these young, wild motherfuckers to go out there and shake shit up. Mm-hmm. Like, for real. Like, you and a lot of people was like, oh, well, they only doing it to get shit. Yeah, that's because they ain't got shit. Nobody's not looking at that. You know, nobody's looking at over the past 3 months, people haven't been able to work. People don't have any money. They're trying to get whatever they can. Yeah, it might be, the optics might make it look like, you know, people are doing this shit for fun, or they're just trying to get whatever they can get. But a lot of people's trying to eat. whether they trying to get something to wear or they trying to get something to sell, they really trying to eat. And I think that, everybody or certain people have played significant roles in how this whole thing is going. The only thing that bothers me now is that, like, just watching from the corporate America side, they tap dancing on another level, bro. Like, they tap dancing on another level. It's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, it had to be the 1 millionth, the 1 billionth and one person to die on camera for y'all to say, you know what, man? I never really treated you how you've been treating me. You know what I'm saying?
White guilt is better than the feds. White guilt has a 98% conviction rate right now. Like, if you are black and you work for someone white, it's a promotion. That was the time.
That was the time.
Now is definitely the time. I mean, so if we're talking about that, just kind of like moving forward, like in our business, and what does progression look like? Or just because I guess that's kind of what, the lens I was looking out of it is just like, man, all of this is going on. How do we as hip hop collectively, like, what can we do, like, to further anything, like to further this initiative?
When I look at, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, quickly, I want to hear what you have to say, but I was going to say, like, for me, I don't need to know that, like, corporate America fucks with me. I like, my first job in corporate America wasn't in rap. You know what I'm saying? So I've gone through tons of discrimination. You know what I mean? I used to work for Pix 11. I've gone through tons of discrimination with how people have treated me because I'm the kid with the tattoos on his neck, because I'm the one that looks like I'm gonna start some shit and nobody's taking the time to know me. All that shit is cool. I don't need y'all to fuck with me. I need y'all to give me economic. We need a economic revamp. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to know going forward, with all this money that they throwing around, 100 million here, 100 million here, it's like, who's gonna help the black people who's going to the highest bidder every day? My thing is like, where's that shit going? I'm not saying that every dollar got to go into my pocket, but what's the structure and who are the people that we are putting in place that are not entertainers? Because I don't want entertainers running none of that shit, because niggas ain't going to do nothing but buy more chains and watches when it comes to that type of shit. I really want to know who's going to be the people who step in the forefront and say, yo, listen, now's the time for us to really build and rebuild. And I was having a conversation, I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit long, but I was having a conversation about segregation. And I was talking to academics about it, and he was like, I said, yo, they should have kept it in place a little longer. He said, damn, you want to be apart from people? I'm like, no, maybe if we had more time to gel with one another, a lot of the systematic things that happened, we wouldn't let get in. You could go anywhere in America and find a Chinatown, a little Italy, a Koreatown, or whatever. Niggas don't own nothing in the hood. And a lot of that shit got to change, man. And a lot of learning, a lot of teaching, and a lot of learning has to come at the forefront of us moving in that direction. It's not just put the money everywhere and we're going to give more jobs. It's economic structure that we need more than anything.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's definitely financial. I think we as a hip hop collective, even if you're not hip hop, if you're black, we need to start putting more pressure on these corporations to reinvest into us, man. Like, yeah, you should feel bad that you only have black women that's, on this particular board. I definitely think that, economic empowerment is freedom. So I would like to see that going forward on all fronts, whether it's corporate America, whether it's the music business. Let's put some more black faces in these places, because I hate when I see, like, you're the only black person when you go to one of these tech companies and you feel like you're on a college tour because you and your friends are the only black people there. Like, it shouldn't feel like that. So that's what I would like to see going forward.
I'm in agreement, and I think it's also the purpose. Like, it's not just get money, it's like, what are we doing it for, and what do we do after we get it, right? So it's like when you think about the reason to get money, a lot of times you can hoard it and keep it to yourself, but like owning property, like that's influence, right? Like, owning a business is influence, owning infrastructure is influence, being on a corporate board is influence. It's like when we're watching these companies make statements, they have you have an executive board reaching down to their low-level or mid-level employees asking for help, trying to figure out how to draft the statement. That tells you something. Like, in this world that we're in, you guys are ill-prepared. If it's like, if this basketball team, you just went in with 4 players, and you trying to figure out why you guys can't get over the hump. It's like, the game changed. And so I think watching that shows, a vacancy, but I also think once we get in those positions, what do we do? I think that a lot of people chase whiteness. You know what I mean? I think because whiteness is heralded as human, it's heralded as American, it's heralded as stature. And I think that has to go out the window. Because I think right now we're asking them to redefine whiteness. You know what I mean? And we didn't invent blackness. You know what I mean? Like that was invented and we decided to pour out that glass of something different. And I think right now we're being challenged to change that as well. And so I think when we achieve the rules of America, which is get money, like that's not going to really stop in the media. I think it's what you do once you play the game, because the game is rigged, but like you got to play it. So when I look at that, I think like, you know, now more than ever, where do we put our money after we're done with it? You know what I mean? Do we help each other out when we get on these boards? Don't celebrate yourself because you're the only one out of 20 and you think it's about you. It's not about you, because now they ignored you every day until George Floyd, and then now they're asking you to do high-level jobs. You're not even being compensated for it, and you got to wear that all on your back as a black person. Like, no, when you get in there, you got to keep the door open and bring other people in, and it's just advantageous for business, but it's also good for the culture. And I think also too in entertainment, you know, we work in a very it's a very small field. When you're honest, like there's some of us, you know, we see each other, keep it a buck, we probably see each other, you know, like once a year, 2 times a year, you know, but we all still know each other. We're still very connected. And this isn't real life. You know, it's not like this for most people. And I think that when we're doing these things, like entertainment can be self-affirming. We feel like we're doing a lot because we hear our voices, we see ourselves, you know, it like us. So entertainers are cool, hip hop's cool, but there's a ton of people that help float that culture and culture that are gonna need help. And I don't know how to politic that, but we just need to keep that on the top of our minds.
I love that, man. I thought what you said was pretty profound, Jinx, just in terms of us kind of collectively. And I'm looking at, you know, labels like myself, you know, working for Sony. I know, you know, Wayno works for a label. Like we kind of like seeing, you know, people, you know, like you said, we're dropping a lot of big checks. One of the things I guess people were kind of moving forward with was, you know, trying to change the word urban. That's kind of become like this thing now. You know, just like, you know, trying to reform the semantics kind of. How do y'all feel about the word urban? Is that like something that's, is that important that we change that? Is that something that you like? Like, what's the vibe on that?
It's like a dog whistle for black, obviously, right? So I have no problem changing the name from urban to something else. Maybe just call it music, because like, what is urban? What's suburban music? What's rural music? You know, I feel like it kind of boxes us in, and it's like just coded for black. If you just call it black music, or just call it music you know, as a whole. I don't think it needs to be boxed into one particular genre.
Yeah, like the word for me, and you know, my perspective, just coming from a label, man, like all that shit is cool, but even having, you know, these calls where we kind of addressing the whole urban thing, I don't want to do no Zooms. I feel like, you know, in order for us to get to the bottom of this shit, bro, like I need to be able to go into a conference room and they need to be able to hear my voice, and I need to be able to look in their eyes to see if they're sincere. All these emails and these statements, all that shit is cool, but like with the word urban, all right, that's cute. That's how I feel about it. All right, that's cute. But like what else? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, I feel like every day they're trying to figure out what's the next thing. Well, what's the next thing that we can say? All right, urban. Then they're gonna be like, okay, let's not call it rap anymore. Like Bdot said, like, let's just call it black music, or let's just call it music, period. Let's include everybody. And they just passing this shit around and see who could come up with the best ideas. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this shit through social media with all of these people. I really want to be able to tell these motherfuckers how I feel face to face, yo. For real. Because like all of that changing word shit is cute, but like I can't really gauge how you feel when I can't look into your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like right now it's easy to have a lot of these conversations because it's through Zoom and Teams and all this other frivolous bullshit that we got to communicate. But we got to really have uncomfortable conversations if we want to move forward. Like I'm down to get into a conference room and yo, tell me if you ever felt intimidated because you looked at my tattoos, like for real. Like I want to know that shit, man, because I'm gonna be able to say how you made me feel when I say good morning and y'all motherfuckers like turn your head real quick. Like I don't exist in this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? So I want to just be able to have that transparency. I think that's the biggest thing that we need. You know, word changes and all that is cool, but change behavior outweighs all of that shit that they talking right now.
I think it's I think people are trying to hold on to real estate. I think when you turn on your television set and you watching people run up in your favorite store and burn that shit down, scary. I think when you look around and it's been 3 months and you guys can't really survive without us, it's scary. I think all these things are frightening to people, and I think they're seeing like we're not buckling. Like it's been 2 weeks, like no one's stopping, and it might not stop. And I think they're worried about getting on that broadcast. Like I equate that to the symbolism. Like I'm kind of on the same page as Wayno there. Like I look at it as sort of symbolism, and I feel like people are using it as a shield or like a flag. It's sort of like yo, like look, we're good. Like don't burn our shit down. Don't ignore us, you know.
Right.
And I'm watching people in our space that maybe aren't really on our side, but like share our space. They have to do two things now. They're either on Twitter, Instagram with their pages silent, waiting hopefully for us to go back to normal so they can or symbol to be like, yo, I'm still, so, you know, when my show comes back or my song drops or my company wants to sell you something, like, you know, you don't feel like I left you out. My thought on the terminology, it's, again, the right side of history. It comes down to minutes. It's almost too late. And I think they're really worried. What do you do if all these artists don't even submit albums? Like, what do you do? You know, it's like I saw the Vogue challenge and I was a little upset by that because like Anna Wintour gets on there after having a 30+ year career, like, oh, I made a mistake. A mistake over 30 years isn't a mistake. That's a behavior. That's you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm
Right.
watching people do the Vogue challenge and I'm like, y'all still chasing it. Like, yo, lose interest in it. It's over. The fact that they're coming over this side of the fence tells you how much leverage you have. The worst thing that we could be as people is have worth and not know how much it is. You know what I mean? Like you let them set the number, then come back to the table, talk amongst ourselves, and we go back to decide if we even want to do business. So that's like, it's a little abstract, but that's what I feel about any of these people making steps. It's all survival mode for them, and I think that's important for us to recognize.
I love that, man. That is important, and you know, I think like what you were kind of alluding to, just, you know, there's symbolism and then there's like tangible action items, right? Like things that we can actually do that will affect the, you know, systemic racism. And I know one of the things that's kind of been hot in the news right now is just defunding police, right? Like you have the defund. I've also heard people call for, you know, the abolition of police. How do you guys feel just about that? Like, you know, if we're talking about, you know, defunding police or abolishing police completely.
That's just
Yo.
stupid.
Very.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, I think it's a verbiage thing, right? Because when you say defund, that means no more funds are being produced into a particular service, right? That's stupid. We need police to keep the community safe, right? But I think it should be more so framed as restructuring funds or something like that. Maybe just the phrase of it needs to change, because when you say defund, the first thing I'm thinking is like, you're not trying to give the police department any money. But when you look at the stats and you realize that this department this department gets X amount of dollars and these ones are being neglected, okay, that's not a little bit fair. Like maybe spread the wealth a little bit more. But I'm all for that. But as far as abolishing the police, like, come on. If people really want to strap up like the Panthers and protect yourself, like let's ease up on the gun laws here in New York and let's get it popping. But
I don't think that would work. But see, the thing with defunding is it's not, you know, necessarily like taking funds. I think it's just like the allocation of funds. So
Right.
like one of the biggest things of, you know, with the police is like the militarization of the police, right? So we see they spend like 30, like we see these tanks one time, like we only seeing them right now, and they're not used upon a threat, a real violence threat. So tear gassing in war is banned, right? The tear gassing in war is banned, but you can tear gas protesters. That shit speaks volumes of what they spend money on. So when defunding the police, because like you said, that like I think the verbiage is what makes people say, oh, defund, take the money away. Right. I don't think it's necessarily just taking the money out of the police precinct, because we do need police, but we need to say, okay, why do y'all spend so much money a year on automatic weapons that you never use? You know, why do y'all spend so much money on these tanks? Why do y'all spend so much money on all this tech and all this other shit that y'all have that you using to really just grab the average criminal? You know, like if that's something for the feds, then that's their business because they on some old next level shit. But as far as like regular policing, it also goes into the structure of the prison and judicial system, right? So when we look at prison, a lot it starts with defunding the police because it's people that's locked up for simple shit like getting high. Like in other countries, getting high in Ireland, they catch you getting high, they sending you to rehab because they treat it as a sickness. In America, you getting high, you might be down on your luck and started getting high, sniffing whatever you're doing, smoking whatever you're doing. They treat you as a criminal and they locking you up with a person, they locking you with the same person that was selling you the drugs. So it's like, how do we end? Like, I'm just thinking about like, how do we end or how do we suppress certain things that are going on? I think that the funding the police, if we can allocate those monies to different programs it might be training. It might be like, yo, if you have like one police brutality claim on your record, you shouldn't be allowed to get overtime. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you shouldn't be allowed to get certain type of perks that it comes with being an officer. Absolutely. I think that's what it comes down to when it comes to defunding.
Yeah,
man, mine is like, yo, it's a little more radical, yo. Like I'm looking at it like it's like making a contract. You know, people are like, oh, we need police reform. That's like making a contract with a known liar. Like, and they're the ones like, yo, let's make a contract. Yo, I'm sorry for lying. Let's make a contract now. Like, and you're like, no, bro, you lie. Like this contract is made in lies. Like I believe in the signature, but you don't believe in the signature. And so when I look at like cops don't even solve crimes. Like it's not like TV. Like they don't even solve crimes. Like they're sort of like enforcement. You know what I mean? They get up on the street. Mostly what you see, their interactions are sort of two-dimensional, like bang, bang. It's not SVU, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so when I see a lot of this behavior, I look at it like, when I see police reform, I'm shocked. I want to steer away from it because this isn't new. Like this is every day for years, every day for decades, right? Like, and now we're going to assume that some paperwork's going to get you to do the right thing. I saw Breonna Taylor's incident report. It was blank. The only thing that they actually filled in there besides the initial name was that they told a lie. Their only contribution to that form was a lie saying like, we didn't force entry, but they did. So like, I'm not really with like trying to reform them. I do believe in defunding those organizations. And I think when you look at, you know, New York City alone, de Blasio, for every dollar he's pumped, you know, every dollar he gives the police force, it's pennies to homeless services, youth services, job creation, infrastructure. Like look at New York City, it's just falling apart. You know what I mean? The whole country's falling apart. Get in your car and get on the highway and you spend the whole time going 40 miles per hour trying to dodge potholes because we're not even investing. Like I think it's crazy. Like most societies die out when they spend more money on military than they do on infrastructure in their future. Like that's society, period. We are at that now. And it might not look like military, so cops rolling down your street with a tank. Like, so and I look at the language does feel, for some people hard to wrap their minds around. But when I look at the stats, Black Lives Matter was hard for people to wrap their minds around 2 years ago, which is mind blowing to me. So like, if the language is going to be the thing that stops you, like you probably like, I think there's going to be some other hurdles, you know? So I'm all for defunding the police right now. I am for the abolishing the structure as it exists currently. Cause like, it's like, you know, it's like in our industry where everyone was like shifting, like we did print and then we shifted to digital, then we shifted to video. And we kept trying to keep people's jobs, right? We kept trying to, because the industry was changing too much. And some roles don't actually transition to this new place that we're headed. You know, I think where we want to go, the way police are structured and how they're divvied up and the roles they have and the tools they have and the money they have is not for where this, you know, we pivoting to freedom. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody can't go. And I'm down to leave many of their structures behind.
I feel that. I think it's important to note though, like, because if we're talking about just kind of, you know, whether it's defunding, right, and allocating resources from one place to the next, or, you know, just reforming in total, a lot of that and what comes with that is community policing, right? Like there needs to be some sort of enforcement, right? We can't just have, like Dot said, everybody just strap up and go off. But it's like, if we're talking about community policing, there's a lot of things internally that now we would have to address, right? Like, you know, the way if the goal is to protect our communities, there's like, we have, no snitching in the hood, right? That's one thing that kind of plays into it. And just the attitude of not being able to, speak out against these things. How do we put ourselves in a position where we can start aiding in the reform of our own neighborhoods?
I think attitudes will have to change as well. I think if the money and resources are pumped back into the community, maybe people's perspectives will change and the way people go about their everyday lives will be a little bit different. And I think it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be a slow process for change to happen. And it doesn't happen in the vacuum. So I think maybe over the course of our lifetime, maybe our kids' lifetimes, people will change if money is put back into the same people that are supposed to, that are the police departments and other facilities are sworn to protect. I think that a change will come.
Yeah, I think ironically, police got the same policy with no snitching either. You know what I'm saying? I think that we got to try to strengthen some of the organizations that are building in the neighborhoods. I always say that the Bloods and the Crips is the greatest idea poorly executed. And the reason why is because, it was a neighborhood thing that went worldwide and everybody followed like the rules of being against this and being against that. But if it was rooted in like where the Black Panther started, things might be a little bit different in this world. I think that, even when I seen PNB Rock say something about people starting the Black Panthers and restarting the Black Panthers. And I'm like, they tried to do that, but you know what? Niggas thought it was a joke and they wanted to laugh about it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, look at all these old angry people out here trying to tell us what to do. And like Dot said, I think it's about like changing the mindset. Even when the money is, let's say the money is pumped into, poverty-driven neighborhoods or whatever, without understanding and without teaching, we'll still be led astray with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the thing about money is that shit is a responsibility. It's a tool. Like any tool in life, if you use it incorrectly, you're gonna hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing that we don't teach enough with money. We need to start making financial literacy cool. You know what I'm saying? I think like, and not to say that it isn't already, I just think like, the general idea of what we see the hood as, like everybody always associate this negative like cloud over it. It's like it's all these bad things and all of these idiotic ways. No, that's for the people that don't want to do the right thing. But the people who do want to do the right thing, I think that we got to invest in them. I don't think you ever go wrong by helping people. That's the best way to help yourself is by helping people. And I think in order for us to kind of police our neighborhoods is to kind of lead by example and show that, I'm pretty sure each and every one of us had like those corny ass dudes that came to our high schools like, hey, I didn't go outside much and I became a lawyer and, things were all right for me and I grew up in a bad neighborhood too. No, I need somebody to tell me that they got cracked in their head for doing dumb shit. I need somebody to tell me that they made some of the wrong decisions, because if we don't start changing the messengers, then we can't deliver any type of message. And I think that the messengers is always like a certain type of person. Like they try to just cloak it a certain type of way. We just got to start being a little bit more honest with each other. And even in the hood, we just got to be a little bit more receptive.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both of them. Like, it is about a change of mindset. And I think anyone that holds our communities to an immediate change is insane, right? Like this, we're talking about reversing or trying to go against 400 years of reinforced, trauma. So I think and I think it's also about who our superstars are, right? Like everybody has that teacher you look back, you're like, damn, man, I wish they made more money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or you think about like mental health professionals, how there's silence and like go in any of these facilities and it's like you're going into a room of the 80s. It looks like Joe Clark's Lean On Me school. They got nothing, and you're like, damn, but the police force damn near got flying cars and shit. You're like, yo, what is this? And so I think that is a reinforcement. I think it's also about like they were saying as well, like who do we lift up in this time? Who do we start to celebrate in these spaces? And part of it is going to be where the money goes, right? Like how many people would want to be a teacher in their community if teachers could take home 100K? You know what I mean? Like out the rip. How many people would decide to be mental health professionals and we'd have less people on the street? How many, like, they show the money that it takes to end homelessness and put food in every kid's lunch. And it's like, it's less than like a couple police departments at times. And so I think those things do instill pride, right? I think the more you know, the more information you have, the better you can play with things. And I think that like financial literacy is huge in schools. I think we have to reimagine so many infrastructures to make this thing work, right? Why are there good schools over here and people leave these neighborhoods because they want to go to a better school? Like, why is it like the only way to get out is to like forms of entertainment, right? Why do the people that we celebrate in our community, in our industry, you know, like some of them are stone cold idiots, you know what I mean? Like, why do they have say in it and why are we waiting for them? Like, I think that's why I think it's like super important to get out the way in a lot of these moments. Like that will reverse minds. I know what I was fed as a young person, the good and the bad. And it wasn't all good. You know what I mean? It's not how it works. And the mix, like Wayno was saying, that helped me make a decision. You know, that helped me. It was real. It wasn't flattened and one dimensional. And I think right now we're living in a society that's really one-sided about what we celebrate, where the money goes, people's aspirations and what they take pride in. And I think we just need to democratize that. Let people make real choices, see who they really are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I really appreciate everybody getting on. Just lastly, I want to get on, and plus I'm outside. My laptop's starting to die and shit. So, but yo, like lastly, man.
You one of them non-prepared people.
Yeah, yo, I'm running around all day. Give me a break, man. I was fighting the revolution all week, man. Give me a break. Nah, but listen, I think the last topic, man, you guys, and I feel like everyone touched on it individually, which was just like financial empowerment, right? And I thought, you know, Dot, or I don't know if Dot or Wayno, one of y'all said it earlier, but it's like there's a Chinatown, there's a Little Italy, there's that. And
economic structure.
How do we, because, you know, I'm watching, like, you know, I've been watching documentaries. I'm looking at, you know, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we had Black Wall Street. And how do we see that? Is there a place in 2020 moving forward that we can have a setup like that?
I think Harlem was probably like the closest we had something like that, like, you know, during the Harlem Renaissance and during that era, because there was a lot of Black cultures thriving. But I think it's up to us to apply pressure to these elected officials, man. And it's really cliche to say we need to come together and pull our resources. I've heard that speech, you know, for years, but it really needs to happen, man. Like, we just need to come collective as a community and just refocus our thinking. It's almost like, you know, when you see baggy clothes, it's like, it's uncool. It's uncool not to put money back into your community, and it's uncool to, you know, help someone else out. I think that's the only way we are going to be able to thrive as a people and to persevere, because there's, like you said, there's a Chinatown, there's a Little Italy. You'll never see a Little Nigeria. You'll never see a Little Ghana.
But I mean, like, how do we make that cool, right? Like, we are culture. Everything that we, like, what we say, that's what is cool. How do we instill that to where that can actually happen? Is it possible?
I mean, I think it's possible, but I think the tough thing about it is like, it's just years upon years upon years of things that we got to dig up in order to get to where we need to be. And, you know, it starts a lot with, like, the whole Tulsa conversation. I think a lot of it gets misconstrued as, you know, they did it just because we was Black. It's not that they did it they not because they slaughtered us and took everything from us because we was Black. We stopped spending our dollar with them. That's what people don't touch on. Our dollar is powerful. You know what I mean? We have power in our dollar. And the uncool thing is, I mean, the thing that's not really cool is to not support whatever the Black man got going. I mean, like, when we look at, like, just streaming services, man, how many times have you heard the conversation, oh, man, I ain't giving Jay-Z no money for Tidal. He got enough money. But you have no problem with Spotify. You have no problem with Apple Music or Amazon or any of these other people. I think the thing is that we got to get out of competition with each other. You know, I can truly say that, you know, each and every one of you, I've, over the years, you know, building brotherhood and relationships with y'all, I've learned from y'all. I've come to Bdot and ask some questions about things. Jinx, Naj, the same. I don't have an ego in that space, but I'm only one person. I think it takes a lot of us getting over ourselves, because we like to think that we the shit all the time individually, but we the shit together for real. But until we truly realize that, we won't make any progress with that. Because tomorrow, if I say, yo, you know what? I'm going to get a bank. I'm going to open up a bank. You know how many people going to say, man, I ain't trusting this nigga with my money? You know, I'm like, for real, bro. They're going to be like, he ain't never had a bank before. Why would I give him my bread? Like, you know what I'm saying? But you ain't thinking about Bank of America like that. You ain't thinking about TD and none of these other people who don't have a face. The problem is that Black people I can honestly say it. We have a problem with faces. When we could put a face to the name, it gives us more of an excuse as to why we should not, as to why we should. And we got to get over ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And again, have those uncomfortable conversations. We addicted to this foreign concept, foreign cars, foreign women, foreign this, that, and the third. We can't even see the beauty in ourselves sometimes. You know what I mean? And I think that's, like Jinx was saying, it goes back to the trauma that we've been through. You know, and having knowledge itself, a lot of us don't understand where we really come from. We always told about Africa, Africa, Africa. I'm not negating that, but we was here too. We was here just as well as we was in Africa.
There's a lot of reference to white things. It's almost like as if, like, you know, they're saying white man's ice is colder. I don't know why that is, but
well, it's so deep, man. Like I think about man, it's kind of I agree with both of them. Like it's both holding ourselves accountable and taking pride, but it's also being like really knowledgeable about the forces that are acted upon us. Like I think about, like, I remember reading this essay about what people call ghetto gold. It's the girls with the nameplate necklaces, and like that's like a coming of when you went to a job interview. You know, you tuck that in, right? But then you go to the job interview, and now the girl at the ad agency, she's got one too. You know what I mean? And so it's like, why is it now passable because she has it? And I think there's a lot of stuff like that. And I think a lot of times our culture is mirrored back to us and sold at a higher rate. And I think like that consideration has to go away. But I think it's because Blackness is a really tough experience. And I think people run from it. You run from the neighborhood, you run from the way you speak, you run from all these things, you know. And the reason people love hip hop is that we don't have to run. You know what I mean? In fact, it's easier. It's taking this innate knowledge. Like, shit, I've been studying for this my whole life. All right, cool. Like, I've been going to college for 30 years. I bet. Guess I'm ready to go. But it's not like that for everyone in the world. So when they get to their job, they have to shrink. You know, they have to change their information. They have to change their accent, the way they dress. And all that stuff works on you. So when you look in your own neighborhood, you don't see pride. You don't see, oh, it's little Nigeria, or this is like, you know, the black bloc. You see it as this is the ghetto. Yuck. I mean, this is ghetto gold. This is that nasty thing. And then they come in the neighborhood. Next thing you know, they see value in it. They see it as a fixer-upper, you know? And so I think that I don't blame that. I don't blame that on us. We didn't do that to us. You know what I mean? Like, we did not do that to us. And I think like we need to keep very vigilant about actors who are coming into our space and trying to tell us what Black is, people that are trying to replace Black people, especially aesthetically, and people who come in there and take the sauce and then try to whip up their own thing, you know? So it's so multi-layered. It is finance, it is policy. I think we also need to be leaning heavily on politicians to learn that system, the same way we're trying to learn money. The game's rigged, but you got to learn the rules, you know what I mean? Like, and I think when it comes internally, we need to be very mindful of what we're letting get into our system and who it's coming from.
Right. Man, I love that, man. Yo, listen, I really appreciate you brothers, man. Like, you know, this was an important conversation for me. Just like you said, we all talk to rappers, but I wouldn't feel right in myself if I didn't use the platform to try to speak about some real shit, you know. And just as us brothers, you know, especially in this industry, man, we all got to stick together. So, you know, I just wanted to leave it there, and I appreciate everybody, man.
Thank you, Naj, for real.
Yo, it's good seeing y'all, man. I'm literally really been inside. Like, I haven't seen people in a long time, man. We don't have no there ain't no like live show or mixer, South by Southwest or nothing to run into nobody. So this is good, man.
Ain't no listening sessions.
Ain't no tired of those, but
I wouldn't mind one right now.
I wouldn't mind listening right now. I wouldn't mind wings and loud conversation over bullshit music right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Word. Hey, I also want to shout out Lil Baby real quick. That record he dropped yesterday or today, man, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, man. Yo, gotta salute that brother, man, for real.
I want to know what comes next. You know, like he surprised me. So I'm like, what else you got?
Does that mean Lil Baby conscious rapper?
What'd you say?
Conscious rapper? A backpack.
You gotta get him a backpack.
Hey, he was. Hey, listen, man. Two things I noticed: no jewelry and dreads in the video. It says a lot. You know what I mean? You know that's the conscious startup kit.
Yeah.
Man. Listen, man. Yo, when it's opened up, man, we gotta get a drink or something, man. Appreciate
that. I'm down.
For sure. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all. Be safe.